I broke my arm. That said that in a script when I performed California Suite in 1980. Was defeated in an interregional competition by the illustrious actress Mark. Defeated for third place, but we digress. I'm Mark McKay.
And I'm Marcy McKay.
And welcome to Sage Smart Solutions. Please join us weekly to learn new and exciting ways to protect your assets and retire tax-free. All right, Marcy, why am I talking about scripts?
We're going to talk about money scripts
Other than
today.
for a clunky segue. Money scripts.
Money scripts.
Money scripts, okay.
And this was a really cool article that you found called How Clients' Money Scripts Predict Their Money Behaviors or Financial Behaviors. And it's by two professors from Kansas State University, Dr. Brady Klontz and Dr. Sonia Britt. They did a survey of hundreds of people, and they were able to figure out based on people's money scripts, and that's sort of unconscious money behaviors that were formed in childhood, predict adult behavior. And a lot of them are self-destructive. I mean, not just self-destructive, but hard on marriages and families. And it was just talking about if you know your money script, you can change it. And you found it on that Financial Planning Association website for financial planners. But I want to share it with our audience today because I think this stuff is really fascinating to figure out.
It definitely is interesting. And one thing I've always said now, and these guys are not just, I forgot what the little alphabet soup for psychologists is.
No, one of them is a clinical financial psychologist, and then the other one I don't remember.
But they're both CFPs.
Absolutely.
So if they trick you into putting your money with them, but yeah, the psychological aspects, the way we communicate and just the irrational emotions we can have, whether it can be from scarcity or guilt or,
right.
You know what, I'll let the scientists talk about it.
But money is such a taboo subject. And in a lot of families, they don't talk about money. It's just sort of, some things are either explicitly said, but a lot of it is just implicit. Rich people are bad. If you can't afford it, you shouldn't put it on your credit card. Maybe these things were said to you straight out, but a lot of them are implicit.
Well, I get some people that, part of my job is saying, okay, what is your liquid net worth? What is your income after deductions? And we're pretty heavily involved in our church, and sometimes people will come and say, listen, I'm not really comfortable
right
talking about these kind of things with you, but I trust you and I trust your judgment. Can you refer me to someone?
Right.
So there's just so much stuff there psychologically.
Absolutely.
that we have to unpack.
Yeah. So let's take a look at the inventory. Okay, so here is the Klontz money script inventory.
The KMSI. Now we need a catchier acronym. The Klontz money script inventory.
Don't be a Klontz.
Couldn't we make it somehow like a kiss me? The Klontz inventory of money scripts. Of scripted.
Okay, so you can't see them all, but there are 51 different money scripts that are on here, and you are supposed to go across and put whichever one of these you feel.
So in order to learn what my money script is, they have put together a question,
51,
like a BuzzFeed survey to find out who
much more in depth than BuzzFeed and based on actual data. Though I do love BuzzFeed quizzes.
So Jennifer Connelly's not really my celebrity crush,
or find out who which Disney princess I am. I'm with you, but anyway. So do you?
Which one aren't you?
Anywho, so for each of these, do you strongly disagree or strongly agree? There's no right or wrong answer, and you shouldn't put the one you think is the right one.
Well, then that would be the wrong answer.
Well, no. I mean, just, do you really agree or disagree with that? So you can find out your money script. So if there's something destructive going on with your money habits, you can change it. So, let's take a look at a few of them. Number one, I do not deserve a lot of money when others have less than me. 2, things would get better if I had more money. 3, most people do not deserve to have money, most poor people, excuse me. So like the one, let's see, number 16, it's important to save for a rainy day. Well, everyone's going to agree with that. Yes, it is important to have savings. But do you do it? I mean, maybe to you, it feels no fun or flat out abusive to save money.
I was just thinking that one of the benefits of doing something like this, anytime you do an inventory, you're going to probably learn some things.
Right.
But, you might check, I strongly agree that it's important to have money saved for a rainy day. And this is probably what the psychologists do. But, at that point, ask yourself, okay, then why am I not?
Right.
And then go down that path and
absolutely
figure out why you're not.
Absolutely. So in like number 25, it's hard to be rich and be a good person. I do some mentoring and coaching on the side, and I had a client who just really struggled with her money story. And her husband made a really good living. She actually got money from her family because they had oil wells and things like that. She was getting a lot of money every month, but still would go over, and figured out, long before that, when she was really a young child, her father was building his business and they didn't have a lot. And, but they were very involved in their church and they gave away pretty much everything they had. And so she was still living that old money story, that she was being a bad, selfish person if she didn't give away everything she had. But then, weird on top of that, she also resented it. And so she would late in the middle of the night buy stuff online that she didn't need, because she was sort of like, I want this for me. I don't want to keep giving it to these poor people. So she was in this weird tug of war.
Yeah, it's interesting. I will have people, and I'll say, "Oh, what are you doing?" They're like, "Oh, well, we took the family to Costa Rica." And they start justifying. I'm like,
right.
"Hey, man,
right.
You're spending time with your family. I don't care."
Right.
But you don't have to rationalize the fact that you had an extra $10,000.
But they almost felt guilty or ashamed.
They 100% did.
Had to justify.
I didn't kind of go.
So okay,
nice.
51 things on here, super cool. We're going to put the PDF on, link it with this video for you to go through the inventory. But now let's scroll up and look at.
So if you'll leave a comment down below and just say questionnaire or questions or survey, we'll make sure you get that link to so you can take the survey yourself.
Okay, so go up. And we're going to look at, so here are some of the compulsive buying behaviors. Depending on what you say you agree or disagree, they are able to come up with 4 different money behaviors, but some of the really, I guess, money personalities, money scripts.
These
the
numbers,
top 8.
But these numbers, the decimal point ones come from taking that questionnaire?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then we're going to go into the broader sort of money personalities. So here are the top 8 destructive money behaviors that they found were compulsive buying, pathological gambling, compulsive hoarding, workaholism, financial dependence. That means you kind of expect someone to bail you out. I have another friend who used to always max out her credit cards, and every Christmas, that was her husband's gift to her. He'd give her a lecture, tell her he was going to pay off her credit card. He's never going to do it again. And then every Christmas, he would pay it off again. And she just kind of, it was an unspoken, dance that they did between each other. She was going to overspend and he was going to bail her out every time. So that's financial dependence. That sort of ties into the example I just gave about my friend and her credit cards. Financial enabling, that's what her husband was doing. Financial denial, you won't even open up your credit card statements. That happens so much.
Your 401k statements,
your
which is happening right now.
Statements.
You don't want to see the second quarter of your 401k.
What year was that?
That was the 2001 crash when.
People would just.
And this was common throughout the country. It was like a known phenomenon that people would have stacks of 401k statements, because they knew they were down 30,
Right.
40, 50, 60%.
And they just couldn't make themselves do it. So 7, financial denial, and number 8, financial enmeshment. So, the article here talks about that 80% of all the participants in this huge study that Dr. Klontz did admitted to 80% admitted to hiding money from their spouses. 80%, that's a lot. And so, again, money is such a personal, private thing, and it's tied into so many different things.
Well, if
your self-worth,
compulsive buying and gambling are
Yeah.
that common, those are two big things you don't want to share with your spouse
Huge.
that do involve shame.
Absolutely. So let's look at the 4 broader personalities. Okay. So here are the 4 broad money scripts or money personalities that they found out. And I'm gonna look at my notes, so I'm sure to say this correctly. So money avoidances, they at a subconscious level, so that's your thoughts beneath your thoughts, that money avoiders tend to think that money is bad or that they don't deserve money. And they're sort of like, rich people are bad, so I don't want to be a jerk like a rich person, even though I've started my own business and I want to provide for my family. It's like this subconscious mental tug of war. And so you can see here that they hoard, they also compulsively buy, they also tend to be workaholics, because with that tug of war, I don't want to be a jerk like a rich person, but I it's kind of like a hamster on a hamster wheel. It's just kind of this constant going. But deep down, they feel like rich people are bad. So secondly, money worship. Money worshipers, they subconsciously, their thoughts beneath their thoughts, that they, learned in childhood, maybe from society, from the world around them, they feel like money is the key to happiness, and yet it's never enough. Whatever they're doing, it's not enough. So they definitely are overbuyers, but they're also in denial and are afraid to open up their credit card statements, to have the hard conversations with their partners or their families about what the true money story is. And they also tend to be workaholics. Money status is subconsciously, they feel like you are what your bank statement is. You are what your net worth is. And, they again have this tug of war with money. They overbuy, and it's just whatever they're doing, it's not good enough, and fully, it's all or nothing thinking. The last one is money vigilance. They really have so much anxiety with money. They are completely tracking their money. They can sometimes, whatever it is, they're not even able to enjoy their money because they're just so worried that money is going to leave them. And, here their 2 biggest things are, buying in the first column and denial in the second column. But even though they work really hard, there's just so much anxiety around their money, they can't even enjoy the money that they have.
You know what? Somebody needs to take this and put it into layman's terms.
Oh, I agree.
The information is brilliant, but I have to read it 3 times to decipher it. So like this table is unstandardized beta estimates for OLS regression results predicting behaviors. I get what they're going for, but it took me a little while to figure out why is it negative 0.05.
Yeah.
And anyway, that I just.
But I could talk about this stuff all day long, because the one thing they don't mention, they say that your money script, your money story is unconscious, but also we've learned so much about neuroscience since March of 2020. So that shame, that not good enough, it's like hardwired into your body, because your body and brain is your nervous system, and it's like a walking, talking computer. And so it records, everything that's ever happened to you. So it's like these screenshots, invisible screenshot moments from childhood. So how do we change this? That's, the main thing that I want to get to.
Well, also, how do we learn from it? Because I think
Absolutely.
as you're going into a financial planning process, if you're aware of these things or your advisor is aware of these things, you can say, okay, let's look at this. You're going to have some resistance because you had this happen to you
Right.
in your 30s, or your dad, went through a hard time
Right.
financially with the local store.
Absolutely. Maybe you were raised by a single mom who definitely loved you, but she was working 2 jobs, and it always felt like scarcity. Maybe, your dad started his own business. It was going great. Y'all were very, very wealthy, and then he lost everything. And overnight, y'all were poor, and it felt like your family never recovered. I mean, those are both very extreme examples, but whatever. So number one, figure out your money story. Where does your story, your money script, money story, where's the origin of it? What did you learn from whoever raised you growing up? Was it scarcity? Was it abundance? Did it depend? Did it happen? Sometimes it felt abundant, sometimes it was scarcity. Just figure out what your money story is.
Take the questionnaire.
Take the questionnaire. And number 2 is you've got to start paying attention to how your money story is showing up today. I mean, just spend 24 hours, and this isn't in the article, spend 24 hours paying attention to your thoughts. Do you see something online that you'd like to have, and immediately you think, oh, I can't have that. I can't afford that. And maybe you have lots of money and you can, but your family, you grew up always buying no-name ranch dressing or whatever, just that internal story. Or did you always overspend? Do you try and feel better and fix your feelings with spending? So where does your money story come from? Number 2, start paying attention to your current mental self-talk about what your money stories are. And then number 3 is that start changing the pattern. So whatever bad money habits you have, that bad money behavior, you've got to figure out. It's like your subconscious mind is saying, it's not safe. I've got to spend this money now while I have it, or I don't want to be a rich person, a jerk. So I'm going to hoard my money, whatever it is, start changing the pattern.
I see that all the time. I mean, even before I was in this industry with Social Security, there are so many, just the message from the news and media throughout the years. The date that they're predicting the Social Security coffers are going to run out of money has been all over the place for the past 50 years, 40 years. But I see that people that, I can show you 3 different ways that it absolutely makes the most financial sense to wait to start receiving Social Security. And they're just like, you know what? I could get hit by a bus. Social Security could go out of business. I put money into this for 45 years. I'm going to start taking
it now.
And, the second they become eligible, and the thing is, you get about an 8% raise every year you wait. So, the stock market didn't average 8% over that time frame. Right. So you would have been better off. I went a little too deep on the Social Security, but it just, and people will admit it, and they'll just say, I have this in my head. They're the same way with,
I want a big old truck.
Well, paying off their mortgage.
Yeah.
I can show you 17 different ways and get 3 CPAs to say, you know what, you're better off keeping that 2.75% tax deductible loan, putting your money to work in the SAGE method that's going to earn 8% tax free. But they just, they want to know that house is there and it's paid
and that
for.
it's paid for. So. And it's just, we are so, and the other interesting thing, the more irrational your money story is, the more it is a deep money script from probably, maybe from before you were born, because if the habit, the pattern in your family is XYZ, we're savers, we're spenders, we think, rich people are bad, we think poor people deserve to be poor, whatever, the more irrational it is, the truer it probably is for your money script. So I could talk about this all day long, but anyway, we will definitely include this. And one more thing, super important, the best way to change your money script, your money pattern, your money story is to educate yourself. So we have a great masterclass called Protect Your Assets and Retire Tax-Free. 40 minutes, so educational. I mean,
and the other thing to keep in mind is that the retirement strategies, the tax-free retirement income, we're going into structures that do not have stock market risk,
right,
that do not have bond market risk,
right,
that don't have default risk,
but they do have flexibility.
but just you can
Stability.
take that aspect of the psychological barriers,
right,
that if you think, oh God, it's all going to zero every time the market goes down 15%, we can take that part of the you still ought to go deal with your issues.
Right. And we all have issues, so we need to normalize all of this. So anyway, I thought this article was really interesting and just wanted to share it with you. So click.
Well, I appreciate you reading and then explaining it to me, because I thought this is really interesting.
It's 10 pages.
And we've had psychologists on our radio show before, and it's fascinating.
Yeah.
And sometimes watching the way psychologists deal with their own money can be fascinating, and the way different life events affect them. But go watch our masterclass, learn some ways that won't trigger you quite so often when the markets fluctuate 2, 3, 5% a day.
Yeah.
So
thanks for watching.
have a great week.